Good morning. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. I've been doing this every morning for 4 years, opening up my computer, asking for guidance for the day, reading something inspirational, and sharing it with you. This is a practice that I learned from my mentors, Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher, starting the day in quiet contemplation, writing out a list of what you're grateful for, getting deeply into the feeling of gratitude, being so grateful, knowing that you are connected to divine energy, that universal energy is always flowing, always moving, always transmuting into and out of form, always changing. Let's take a deep breath in and relax into that knowing that the energy that is coming from universal intelligence, from source, from infinite, no beginning, no end. It's here working with and through you now and always. Tap into that divine spirit. Remember who you are, and remember that your spirit is currently in your body. It's in physical matter, but it's not physical matter. You are not your body, but using your body, you are co-creating your life with infinite intelligence. Enjoy that. Imagine how powerful you are, that you get to create something special, something just for you, something that can be translated into physical matter and be shown to the world. If that's what you choose, you can choose experiences, you can choose loving relationships, you can choose purposeful work. You've been gifted with an intelligence. You are the highest form of intelligence on this planet. Use your mind and choose what you want. Everything is vibrating, nothing rests. The higher vibrational energy that you tap into, the more you can create what you truly desire, not worrying about how it's going to happen, not using your human brain to figure everything out, but to tap into divine, infinite, universal intelligence. That's why we sit quietly for a few minutes and ask for guidance for the day. Before we start our phones, before we get out of bed, tap into divine spirit. I've been reading Thomas Troward's book, The Hidden Power, and one of the chapters is called Yourself, and this is one of Bob Proctor's favorite chapters, and I'm just going to read it to you now. I want to talk to you about the livingness there is in being yourself. It has at least the merit of simplicity, for it must surely be easier to be oneself than to be something or somebody else. Yet that is what so many are constantly trying to do. The self that is their own is not good enough for them, and so they're always trying to go one better than what God has made them, with endless strain and struggle as the consequence. Of course, they are right to put before them an ideal infinitely grander than anything they have yet attained. The only possible way of progress is by following an ideal that is always a stage ahead of us. But the mistake is in not seeing that its attainment is a matter of growth, and that growth must be the expansion of something that already exists in us, and therefore implies our being what we are and where we are as its starting point. This growth is a continuous process, and we cannot do next month's growth without first doing this month's. But we are always wanting to jump into some ideal of the future, not seeing that we can reach it only by steadily going on from where we are now. These considerations should make us more confident and more comfortable. We are employing a force which is much greater than we believe ourselves to be, yet it is not separate from us and needing to be persuaded or compelled or inveigled into doing what we want. It is the substratum of our own being, which is continually passing up into manifestation on the visible plane and becoming that personal self to which we often limit our attention without considering whence it proceeds. But in truth, the outer self is the surface growth of that individuality which lies concealed far down in the deeps below, and which is none other than the spirit of life which underlies all forms of manifestation. Endeavor to realize what this spirit must be in itself. That is to say, apart from any of the conditions that arise from the various relations which necessarily establish themselves between its various forms of individualization. In its homogenized self, what else can it be but pure life, essence of life, if you like so to call it? Then realize that as essence of life, it exists in the innermost of every one of its forms of manifestation in as perfect simplicity as any we can attribute to it in our most abstract conceptions. In this light, we see it to be the eternally self-generating power which, to express itself, flows into form. This universal essence of life is a continual becoming into form. And since we are a part of nature, we do not need to go further than ourselves to find the life-giving energy at work with all its powers. Hence, all we have to do is allow it to rise to the surface. We do not have to make it rise any more than the engineer who sinks the bore pipe for an artesian well has to make the water rise in it. The water does that by its own energy, springing as a fountain 100 feet into the air. Just so we shall find a fountain of essence of life ready to spring up in ourselves, inexhaustible, and continually increasing in its flow, as one taught long ago to a woman at a wayside well. This upspringing of life essence is not another's, it is our own. It does not require deep studies, hard labors, weary journeyings to attain it. It is not the monopoly of this teacher or that writer whose lectures we must attend or whose books we must read to get it. It is the innermost of ourselves, and a little common sense thought as to how anything comes to be anything will soon convince us that the great inexhaustible life must be the very root and substance of us, permeating every fiber of our being. Surely to be this vast infinitude of living power must be enough to satisfy all our desires, And yet, this wonderful ideal is nothing else but what we already are in principio. It is all there in ourselves now, only awaiting our recognition for its manifestation. It is not the essence of life which has to grow, for that is eternally perfect in itself, but it is our recognition of it that has to grow. And this growth cannot be forced. It must come by a natural process, the first necessity of which is to abstain from all straining after being something which at the present time we cannot naturally be. The law of our evolution has put us in possession of certain powers and opportunities, and our further development depends on our doing just what these powers and opportunities make it possible for us to do here and now. If we are able to do today, if we do what we are able to do today, it will open the way for us to do something better tomorrow. And in this manner, the growing process will proceed healthily and happily in a rapidly increasing ratio. This is so much easier than striving to compel things to be what they are not. And it is also so much more fruitful in good results. It is not sitting still doing nothing, and there's plenty of room for the exercise of all our mental faculties. But these faculties are themselves the outcome of the essence of life, and are not the creating power, but only that which gives direction to it. Now it is this moving power at the back of the various faculties that is the true innermost self. And if we realize the identity between the innermost and the outermost, we shall see that we therefore have at our present disposal all that is necessary for our unlimited development in the future. Thus, our livingness simply consists in being ourselves, only more so. And in recognizing this, we get rid of a great burden of unnecessary straining and striving, and the place of the old strum and drang will be taken not by inertia, but by a joyous activity which knows that it always has the requisite power to manifest itself in forms of good and beauty. What matters it whither this leads us? If we are following the line of the beautiful and good, then we shall produce the beautiful and good, and thus bring increasing joy into the world, whatever particular form it may assume. We limit ourselves when we try to fix accurately beforehand the particular form of good that we shall produce. We should aim not so much at having or making some particular thing as expressing all that we are. The expressing will grow out of realizing the treasures that are ours already and contemplating the beauty, the affirmative side of all that we are now, apart from the negative conceptions and detractions which veil this positive good from us. When we do this, we shall be astonished to see what possibilities reside in ourselves as we are, and with our present surroundings, all unlovely as we may deem them, and commencing to work at once upon whatever we find of affirmative in these, and withdrawing our thought from what we have hitherto seen of negative in them, the right road will open up before us, leading us in wonderful ways to the development of powers that we never suspected, and the enjoyment of happiness that we never anticipated. We have never been out of our right path, only we have been walking in it backwards instead of forwards. And now that we have begun to follow the path in the right direction, we find that it is none other than the way of peace, the path of joy, and the road to eternal life. These things we may attain by simply living naturally with ourselves. It is because we are trying to be or do something which is not natural to us that we experience weariness and labor, where we should find all our activities joyously concentrated on objects which lead to their own accomplishments by the force of the love that we have for them. But when we make the grand discovery of how to live naturally, we shall find it to be all and more than all that we had ever desired, and our daily life will become a perpetual joy to ourselves, and we shall radiate light and life wherever we go. Yourself. There is a livingness there is in being yourself. You don't have to pretend to be someone else. But what's important is deciding what you really want. What kind of purposeful work brings you joy? When you accomplish what you love, time feels like it's speeding up and standing still all at once. You just get lost in the love of the work that you do. Have you ever experienced that, where you're so involved in something, you're so involved in reading a book that you're so immersed in it, if someone taps you on the shoulder, you jump because you are so into this story? You can design your life that way and get into the spirit of what that would feel like. Being yourself, but growing and stretching and remembering who you are. Not becoming the best version of yourself, but allowing it to unfold through a natural progression of growth. Now, that progression of growth some days makes you feel defeated, some days makes you feel like giving up. But all you have to do is tap into that universal energy. You don't get energy. You are an energetic being with divine, infinite spark of spiritual energy. What are you going to do today that you love, that you feel so happy to be alive? What can you get enthusiastic about? If you sit quietly and imagine, there is an unlimited flow of energy. Imagine this beautiful energy flowing in through the crown of your head and flowing through your entire physical being, your body, the costume that you wear, the container that your spirit is held in. This physical matter that other people look at as you, that's not all of you. You are a spiritual entity, a spark of the divine, and you're here in this physical presence to create more life, to create more love, to create more experiences. When you look at what what is, you've created that through your thoughts, your feelings, your physical effort. Your manifestations have come true by what you've done up until this point. You can look and say, there's some things that I love about my life and other things I would prefer. Well, you're not solid matter sitting still. Even a tree is growing. Even a rock is moving. You don't see it, but everything vibrates. When you're vibrating in a low level of energy, feeling sorry for yourself, complaining about what is or what was, you're focusing your energy in the wrong direction. That happened, that doesn't define you. That was a previous experience of yours. You don't take it into the future with you. You let it go. And you decide, what else do you want? What else do you want to have fun with? What else would you love to experience? If you could wave a magic wand and had all the time and money in the world, because everything is infinite, you're infinite. Money is just an expression of energy. We're using it at this period of time as a means of exchange. What service can you provide in order to increase the wealth in your life so that you can increase your life for the greater good? What beautiful things would you love to purchase? What beautiful experiences would you love to enjoy? What beautiful gifts would you bestow on your loved ones? It's all available to you. Don't let your past define your future. Write a list of everything that you want. Take a pen and paper and make it a shopping list. And you could write anything that you desire. What kind of experience do you believe would make you feel happy? It comes about when you feel happy. We've been taught to believe that when I have that experience, then I'll be happy. But it doesn't work that way, because your spirit is always expanding and growing and changing and moving into becoming, uncovering all the layers of doubt and worry and things that were programmed into you by people who didn't understand the laws of the universe. You are a divine spiritual entity living in your physical representation. Every person is an individual manifestation of divine. So don't look at other people and wish wrong to them, because we are all part of this divine energetic matrix. And what you do to others, you do to yourself. If you are angry, hostile, wishing bad to another person, it's like a divine boomerang. It comes back and hurts you. Any feelings of resentment, you have to let go. You do you. You be yourself. You tap into divine, infinite. Now, this takes practice. No matter how old you are, you understand that you're living in a current physical reality surrounded by matter. What you weren't taught is that everything vibrates, and unless you're growing, you're disintegrating. Allow that spiritual side of you to experience more life. The Spirit is in you to be able to experience wonderful things. But how do you know if they're wonderful unless you've understood what the opposite is? You don't have to stay where you are. You can say, that happened, and now I want something else. Yes, that's reality, but now I want something more. You can experience anything your heart desires, but the trick is to feel, to get into the same energetic vibration. If there's something you want that you think will make you happy, the way to have it manifest into your life experience is to practice feeling what you believe it will do for you. And then that energy will start to move into form. You can write about it and think about it and practice it and rehearse it in your mind. You can write about it. Writing causes thinking. A very special practice is to write down what you are grateful for so that you can get into that energetic vibrational feeling of profound gratitude. Have you ever felt so grateful that you burst into tears, or you just felt an overwhelming feeling of warmth, your heart expanding? When you fill yourself up with these kind of feelings, that you energize yourself, it's like you become a magnet. Some people are so filled with this divine energetic love, this divine infinite love. You're drawn to them. It almost looks like they have an aura around them. You can feel that energy. You can bring that energy into your own physical being through your thoughts and your feelings, and then do something really special. When you are doing your ordinary mundane tasks today or being part of the physical reality, remind yourself that you are here co-creating your life. What a wonderful place to be. How joyfully you can do your tasks. The divine energy is always there to help you create the experience. What are you loving about yourself today? What are you loving about your life? What would you say thank you for? Everything has good in it. Notice it. Pay attention to what you see as good and forgive the rest. Let it go. You be your divine, beautiful, individual representation of divine energy. Be yourself. Create a wonderful day. Enjoy this experience. And I'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7. Thank you.